Welcome to the 2019-20 Parkside Men's Basketball Season Preview, brought to you by Hampton Inn and Suites. Matt Mendel alongside Luke Riegel, now back for his 17th season at the Parkside helm, now 20th season with the university. And Coach, before we look ahead to what could be here this winter, let's look back at what was last winter. And you look at the team going 16-12 overall, finishing number one in the GLIAC North Division. When you look back and kind of assess the way the season played out, what kind of things come to mind?
I think it's kind of a tale of two seasons. I had a feeling we'd probably get off to a slow start. We had so many young players weren't very experienced, and players moving into different roles. And I think pre-Christmas, all those struggles shone through. It was a tough time trying to figure out who belonged where, and I was trying to figure out what pieces fit together. And then after Christmas, we just made a decision with different players saying, okay, this is your role and this is what you want to do. And of course, our seniors really stepped up, whether it's Chip Flanagan, Adam Bonk, Brett Barclay, all those guys really helped us be successful once we got deeper into the conference season. And, it ended up being a nice year. We've talked as a coaching staff that, for all the things that we went through and being the first year in the league, we are happy with what we did, but we're not satisfied. 16-13 is a nice year, but it's not where our expectations are. And I think our players understood that going into the offseason that, our bar is set higher, and we expect to be more successful than that going forward.
What do you feel are the strengths right now of this team, at least on paper?
I think we're a little more athletic than we've been. We've been scratching and clawing and trying to get to that level. So I think the athleticism is a little bit better. I like our depth. That hasn't been a real strength for us the last couple years. So when I look up and down our roster, even with older guys, whether it's a Jonathan Morabel, a Linwood Lee, those guys have had, time on the court where, they know what Division II basketball is all about. And so you look at the roster, and I think it's a little deeper, maybe a few more weapons where we don't have to rely on one or two guys every night. And when we look at the best teams that we've had, that's where we've been successful. It's not relying on two guys that have to play well, otherwise you get beat. It's having the depth of 4 or 5 different players that, okay, a couple guys might not have the best night, but they don't have to carry us time in and time out. And I think that's how you go. That's how you're successful throughout a long season. That's also how you're successful on the road. And we haven't been very good on the road the last 2 years, and that's something that we have to understand as a group. You don't get to play in March unless you're good away from DeSimone Gymnasium. And that hopefully comes with the maturity, the consistency, and for us, we're never going to be the biggest, strongest team in the league. So we need to be physically tough with the strength that we do have, and we have to be better mentally. I saw some times last year where we just weren't tough enough on the road mentally to get things done. And, again, you look and you hope guys can go to another level with the mental toughness as they gain more experience.
And that was the next question I was going to ask you is about, losing the 3 seniors, including Chip Flanagan, how you go about filling that void, trying to replace that production. And you talk about, late game situations. What other question marks, with their departures, pop up?
Well, I think something that looking back on the films from last year, I thought we were a very good defensive team, but we didn't rebound the basketball well. And, part of it was, every night Chip could guard the other team's best player. So we need someone to step into that role. Who is going to be the guy that goes out and takes pride in shutting down the other team's best player? And that's maybe as difficult to find as guys that like to score. Everybody likes to shoot the basketball, but going out and trying to find players that just their number one job is to be a great defender, that's going to be something that we're looking for as we go through. And then, again, it's always about players stepping into new roles. We had a really nice young core last year, but all of those players are going to have to step into bigger roles. They're going to have a bigger target on them this year as they go into conference play particularly. And so all those different things factor into whether or not you're successful once the season starts.
Even with maybe expanded different roles, you still bring back roughly 12 or 13 players from last year's squad. So in your opinion, how experienced is this bunch?
It's funny. There's kind of a division there of we have that large group of redshirt sophomores. So we have a group of players that have gone in that are in their third year of college, but last year was really their first year of college basketball. And many of those guys got great experience on the court, played a lot of minutes, played in close games. And so we're kind of in that middle of, we have players with some very good experience, but they're still not very old. And that's probably a good thing. You mix in some new pieces to go along with those guys that returned, and hopefully from our standpoint, it kind of all gels and we can get off to a better start. The last couple of years we've really struggled early on for different reasons. What I'd love to see is us to get off to a better start early in the season this year.
Finally, let's take a look at the schedule here in 2019-2020, and at least when you take a look at the initial look. Okay, the season starts November 8th. That's going to be a matchup at Lindenwood. You have your first home opportunity in a Parkside tournament, which will take place the 15th and 16th of November, which will include Hillsdale right away. And then first conference opportunity is a tough one out in Allendale, Michigan, and at Grand Valley State on the 5th of December. I guess your assessment as you look at the schedule, how it kind of breaks down.
We were talking as a staff as we're getting ready to prepare for different scouts and what what assistant coaches are going to do or prepare for who, and we really have a tough schedule this year.
Mm-hmm.
You say that every year when you're playing in a great league, but how things factor out, where we have to go and when, it's not going to be easy. And it's nice to have that tournament at home, but we're playing against a Hillsdale team that beat us last year. So we're going to have our challenges, and I think, going back to what I said earlier, it'd be nice to get off to a good start and build momentum early, but it's just not going to be easy.
Cannot wait. It will tip off for real soon enough. Coach, as always, thanks a lot for your time. Best of luck this season.